Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order. To start with, Mr. Don Garvin will deliver the invocation tonight. Would you please stand?
Please stand, join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this special day. We thank you for your love, your watch care, your grace, and your mercy. We pray tonight for this council as we meet to do business with the Cherokee Nation. We pray for your divine guidance in everything that we say and do. And Father, I want to thank you especially for the good rains and warm sunshine to make everything grow. We ask you to bless our military personnel tonight all over the world. We pray for their lives. We pray especially for their families. We pray that you bless them in a special way. And Father, I want to pray for this group tonight as we meet. We ask that you bless each one, bless our council, and God bless Cherokee Nation. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Joe Anglin.
Here.
Joe John Baker.
Here.
Roger Connor. Joe Quinton.
Here.
Meredith Fraley. Here. John Garvin. Charles Hoskins.
Here.
William Johnson.
Here.
John Keener. Jacob Bob Martin. Linda O'Leary. Levon Shoptown. David Thornton.
Present.
Carol Watts. Phil Georgie. Here.
16 present, we have a quorum. 15 present. Next item is approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried. Next, we have the State of the Nation, delivered by the Principal Chief, Chad Smith.
Good evening, this is the State of the Nation, the Cherokee Nation, May 2006. It's my privilege to appear in front of you and report on the state of the Cherokee Nation. As is our custom this evening, we'd like to recognize our citizens, friends, and others who have passed this life in the last few weeks. Sammy Hoskins, the mother of Councilman Chuck Hoskins. Carol Shackelford, the daughter of Glenna Hash, an employee at Water. Leona Flute, the mother of Nita Cochran. She's the operations manager at the North Manco, Keller Clinic. Charles Rock Locust, Gordon Birmingham, the son of Larry Birmingham in our fire department. Mrs. Ruby Walker Turnbull, she passed away a few short weeks ago, just a few days short of her 101st birthday. She was born in 1905, was the original Dawes Commission enrollee. Ruby loved coming to the Cherokee National Holidays with his original enrollee reception. If you would, at this time, sing a month of the songs for them and other families like you. Thank you very much. Tonight is our privilege, and Joe, if you could help us, to honor our veterans. Tonight, our military service honoree is Elizabeth C. Sullivan. She was born, or should I say, when can I say that? It would still be a gentleman. She was born some decades ago. All right, 1924. She was born in Auburn, Oklahoma. After graduating in May 1944 from Haskell Institute in Lawrence, Kansas. She was employed by the Office of Indian Affairs of Chicago, Illinois. She entered the military service in July 1945. She received her basic training in New York City, New York. Served with the Regiment 54 Platoon 225, the singing platoon. The regiment broadcast weekly over CBS Waves on Parade and Singing Along. Listen to the waves. Elizabeth then entered the USM Naval Hospital Corps for intensive 8-week course to receive a certificate of graduation by the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery. The Navy Department. She was assigned to the U.S. Naval Hospital in Corpus Christi, Texas, in December 1945. While in the service, she received the American Campaign Medal and World War II Victory Medal. Elizabeth was honorably discharged in August of 1946 as a pharmacist made third class. She returned to employment with the Office of Indian Affairs. She is now retired and lives in Cherokee, Oklahoma. So let's give her our acknowledgement. Please say a word, please.
I'm very happy to be here this evening, and I think this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing that the Cherokee Nation is doing in honoring its veterans. Although it was 60 years ago that I joined the Navy, I'm still proud of my service, and although I didn't go overseas, the Navy didn't send women overseas when I was in the service, but I had a very vital role at the Corpus Christi Naval Hospital, taking care of the veterans there. So thank you very much.
One of the additional things that we began is to make sure that each of our veterans has a brick at our memorial line complex. Our second military honoree is Major Gregory Scott Hendricks. After serving 4 years in the United States Air Force, Greg Hendricks completed the Platoon Leadership Marine Corps Officer Commission Program, received the commission as a second-class lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. Major Hendricks was elected to receive this commission, sir. Mr. Hendricks has elected to receive this commission, the ceremony at the historic location of Sequoia's home in Atkins, Oklahoma. This location had special meaning for Major Hendricks because it was his direct ancestors that purchased the land and cabin from Sequoia's widow. This land remained in Major Hendricks' family until Oklahoma became a state, then was donated to the Oklahoma Historical Society. In 1998, Captain Hendricks left the active Marine Corps to accept a job as management specialist with American Airlines in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A true patriot, he served again as platoon commander in the United States Marine Corps Reserve Anti-Tank Training. Promoted to the rank of major, he served as company commanding officer. After the terrorist attack on September 11, 2001, Major Hendricks volunteers to serve on active duty and recently completed a tour in Iraq. Major Hendricks' team delivered over 4,000 school supplies to Iraqi children. In addition, his team delivered countless humanitarian supplies to needy Iraqi families and medical supplies to small clinics. During his time in Iraq, he worked directly with the Iraqi people and was able to truly demonstrate Cherokee and American values. Even though his team operated in one of the most hostile and dangerous environments, they remained focused on providing charity and aid to the needy while respecting the cultural and religious values of the people they were helping. So we would like to award this token of appreciation to Major Hendricks.
Well, I'd have to say it's an honor to be here. Most of the news is not giving any credit for what's going on in Iraq. I'd like to speak for my brothers and sisters that are still over there. Our American youth has showed unbelievable patriotism and valor. I saw it every day. When in the clinics or in the battalion surgical, when our units would get hit, I would run down there. All over the base, we would volunteer to go serve and give our blood. One thing I noticed is that our American youth, they never cried out. I've seen some really horrible wounds, and they never cried out, ever. And they really served very well. Our unit, just as mentioned, is a civil affairs unit. And what our unit was designed to do was to help the Iraqi people that aren't insurgents. A lot of times it was hard to feel who was insurgent and who wasn't, and usually we ended up in a firefight. But it still didn't deter our unit from going and helping the truly innocent and the truly needy. Countless times during a firefight, we would run, and I'd see my young Marines run, who are reservists and college kids, run and grab Iraqi kids and get them under cover. The Iraqi people appreciate that, and where I was in Ramadi, the Iraqi people started helping us to fight the insurgents. That's not reported in the news, but that's what's going on. And they actively took up arms against the insurgents. They know that from our values, they know what we're trying to do, but you'll never see that in the news. Our unit was formed, 6th Civil Affairs Unit, and it will never exist in the Marine Corps history. Every Marine Corps unit has a coin, and that coin has a little history on it. Our 6th Civil Affairs was formed just for this mission in Iraq, and it will never exist again. I received 2 coins from the unit. One of those coins is going to my father, Floyd Hendricks. The other coin I'd like to present to the Chief, Chad Smith.
Last month, we acknowledged the Cherokee Nation EMS training program for 2005 Indian Health Service National Directors Award. This month is National EMS Week. I wish to thank all of our EMS workers for the outstanding job they do every day, from transporting patients to hospitals to taking the lead in community emergencies like the tornado that hit Oaks and Twin Oaks. So all of our EMS staff, would you stand and let us recognize you? Tonight is another special opportunity because we get to recognize our employees that have received an Outstanding Employee Award. And with our National Declaration of Design Purpose, we have outlined certain attributes. So this year we began the convention of naming these attribute awards after those who have passed on in our service to the tribe. because they personified those attributes. And the name of the award may change from time to time, but the inaugural awards will be listed. So the first one, I'm going to save the Employee of the Year to the last. The first one I will recite is the Dorothy Peoples Award for Respect. Mrs. Peoples' sister Rosemary Philpott and other family members will be here tonight to present the award to the employee who received it. So if the Philpott family, or if you're here, would you come down? Physical awards have been awarded during the Cherokee Appreciation Banquet, but we also have tokens of monetary tokens of appreciation. And could one of you briefly say something about Dorothy and her attribute of respect?
Well, I'm Rosemary Philpott. I didn't expect to talk. I just expected to be here in honor of my sister. And she was a very respectable person, and she really cared about her job here at the Cherokee Nation, and she done a very good job. I worked with her every day, and she has been missed in our department, in the WIC department, and under the health department, and she helped others around her if she seen anyone in need or anything, and she did have a high respect for her fellow co-workers and everyone around her. And this is my mother, Susie Peoples, my sister, Frankie White, and another one of my sisters is out there that didn't come down here. But we're from a large family and a close-knit family, and I'm very honored that, I didn't know, when I found out of the award, there was just an honor to know that she was thought of in this way.
So the Dorothy Peoples Award for Respect goes to Lana Sizer. Is Lana here? Yes, there she is. Come on down. The next one is the Sam Stool Award.
I really had a speech. I'm teasing.
Let's hear the speech.
No speech, I was teasing.
No, I'm teasing. I'm not teasing.
I always give him a hard time, so I just want to appreciate. I have an awesome boss who really, I appreciate everything. She lets me do a lot of stuff, and it's the Guy Doogie Award to her because she allows me to help whoever I can and gives me the room to roam in my department, which is great, I enjoy working for her and being able to get out to people to help as much as possible. Just like in the tornado thing, that's my community, so I have to be there. So, and she understands that, and I appreciate her very much. Thanks, Vic.
The next award is in the name of Sam Stool Jr. We didn't have a family member who could help present tonight, but Sam Stool, most of us know, was committed to the elderly programs. He's up and down the highways, and that's how he lost his life in the service of the tribe in an auto accident. We also ought to paint a seat in the new gymnasium and not let anybody sit there, because there was Sam at every Sequoia ball game. He knew if the field house was open, he'd be sitting there. So for the award for commitment is Lisa Lyons. If you'd come forward.
I
would almost just like to echo exactly what she said about my supervisor. When you put good people in places, that pays off further down the line. And I owe a lot of what I can do to Teresa Shadow, the director of the diabetes program. But I love my job, and I think that shows. When you love what you do, it reflects in what you do.
The Ansel Barr Junior Award for Cherokee Way of Life or Culture will be presented by Mr. Barr's son, Ansel Barr III, and other family members. And if you're here, could you come down? The Barr family. They did not make it. Many of us remember Ansel. He was always involved in the community. John, do you remember? Would you care to come down and say a word about Ansel? This is what happens when you're a senior statesman.
Yes, Ansel was very worthwhile working for the Cherokee Nation. He was very dedicated, very friendly, and he'd always doing the work that somebody else didn't want to do. He was always there. And he liked to golf. And we used to meet out there, and one day he saw one of his friends coming up. He said, "Gee, I thought I was going to be the only ugly fella out here." He was that kind of a guy that had this Cherokee humor that nobody else has. And so I'm glad that Ansel's being recognized tonight. I'm sorry that not any of his family have been able to be here, but I'm sure they will appreciate the recognition that Ansel Barr got. Thank you very much.
The Ansel Barr Award for Cherokee Way of Life goes to Dennis Sixco, the voice of the Cherokee Nation. I don't see Dennis. You can turn Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings and hear him. The Jan Morgan Award goes to Creative. And is Jan's daughter Angela here? And the Jan Morgan Award, you want to say a quick word?
Sure will. Thank you very much for remembering my mom this way. She would be so happy, and those of you that know her know how proud she would be tonight. And something she always taught me, now you watch the council and the administration, because they can do such good things for the tribe. And you know what? You all, Oklahoma vernacular here, you all are all about the business of creating jobs. And the job that Cherokee Nation created back in 1984 that my mom had enabled her to bring home a paycheck for our family to make ends meet. She put me through school, raised me up to be a master's degree graduate, debt-free. She would often tell people with her humor, "My daughter's in Who's Who, and I'm not even in What's What." But you know what? She was extraordinary. She was an extraordinary person. And a lot of times, Chief Smith said at Mom's funeral, there were days when she was so sick that she would show up to work. But I'm not just saying show up with a smile on her face, ready to serve our people. She would always tell me, "Angela, the greatest gift I get to have is to go to work every day and serve our Cherokee people." So thank you so much for remembering my mom this way.
The Jan Morgan Award for Creative goes to Randall Hothouse, and he's not available tonight. So let's give him a round of applause. The Jenny Mitzer Award is for integrity, and I believe her daughter, Brenda Dreyer, is here. Is that correct? He would come down. And her husband, Charles, and children, Amber and Dante. Would you care to say a word?
I just wanted to my name's Brenda Dwyer, and I'm Jeannie Mitzner's daughter, and I just wanted to thank everybody for remembering my mother in such a way. She loved working for Cherokee Nation. She enjoyed it. But with as many years as she's been gone, it just really warms my heart that people still remember her here today. And I would very much, with deep appreciation, like to congratulate the winner of the Jean Mitzner Award for Integrity. Thank you.
And that person is Donald Vaughn. Don Vaughn, if you'd come down.
Well, of course, this award is very meaningful to me. I'm sure it would have been very meaningful to Jean also. She was a wonderful individual. She always had a smile on her face. She was very helpful, but she was of the highest integrity, and that's something that I aspire toward in my life, and so this is very meaningful to me, and I really appreciate it.
The Julian Fight Award is for leadership, and I think Jennifer Fight, is she here? Jennifer? I don't see her. Many of us remember Julian. He passed away just a little bit, not quite a year ago. His outstanding credentials, former U.S. attorney, former district attorney, a great person to understand systems and how systems work. He served the Cherokee Nation well, and he actually died in service attending a conference just a little bit over a year ago. So the Julian Fight Award for Leadership was given to Mike Pruitt. Mike, if you'd come down.
I'd like to say thank you to the organization. It's a privilege to work for Cherokee Nation. I get up every day and I enjoy going to work, and it's every day is a holiday and every meal's a feast for me. Thank you.
The way these employees were selected is by a committee of peers of the employees, and employees submitted their names. That's the way their names were. Right. Frank Muskrat Award is an award for communication. Is his children here today? Did you care to come down? Okay. All right. Come down, please.
I'm Frank Muskrat Jr., and we're humbled that you chose to honor our father this way. He's a family man, and he could communicate with us. But we want to thank you for honoring him.
Frank Muskrat Award for Communications goes to Stacy Wooler. Stacy.
Usually I can't shut up, and most of you who know me know that. I really don't know what to say other than I'm very grateful to work at Cherokee Nation. I work in a really good department. I've got a super boss and a super group leader. And I just thank you guys for the opportunity. And I had to do some searching. I didn't know who your father was, but one of my uncles worked with him for a long time, told me how good of a man he is, and he was. So I thank you very much, and I'm honored and humbled and
The Shelby Black Fox Award is for self-confidence. So I believe Mr. Black Fox's father is Jay Black Fox here. Jay, would you come down? If we remember, Shelby was one of our marshals who was killed on Highway 10. Jay, can you say a word?
On behalf of the Black Box family, I want to thank you. It's kind of hard to speak about my son, but sorry. We want to thank you very much, Chief, Chief Counsel. We do thank you very much.
The Shelby Black Fox Award for Self-Confidence goes to Linda Case. Is Linda here? Great.
Extremely honored.
Great. Thank you. We have two additional attribute awards. The Helen Bluebird Award for Cooperative. I believe Miss Bluebird's daughter, Tracy Jenkins. Are you here? Tracy? The winner of the Mary Bluebird Award for Cooperative goes to Sandy Long.
I get no respect. Can you tell that? I just want to say I'm very honored to get this award. I've worked with Cherokee Nation as of last month for 30 years, and people want to know, when are you going to retire? When I stop liking what I like to do, and I like to do this. I love working for Cherokee Nation. We've raised our kids. It's a great place to be. Thank you very much.
The Gordon Gregg Glass Award for Responsibility, I don't believe the family member's here tonight, goes to T.J. Stan. T.J.
First of all, I want to say I feel very blessed to work here with Cherokee Nation. And I'm going to tell my age now. I've been here longer than anybody else, I think. And I've worked with all these wonderful people that are being honored here tonight. Angela made me cry because my mascara's running. I'm sorry. I worked with Frank. I worked with Ansel. I worked with all of them. And I'm just so blessed to be one of the nominees and these people. Thank you.
Mary Lammons passed away just a few months ago. She worked in Head Start, and she was a remarkable young woman. Her peers thought tremendous things of her. And she's one of those that when you saw her, she made your day brighter. She worked hard, very productive, and made everybody's life better. And we believe Lynn Lammons, her husband, are you here? Lynn? Okay, could you come down, please? You and your family. The Mary Lammons Employee of the Year Award goes to Nemo Bush.
I want to say thank you to everybody that's here, especially the employees, because I have the privilege to work with each and every one of you. And I really am honored to receive this award because when I got the award, I didn't know what it was about. I was out there working the volleyball tournament. But when I read the plaque, it's just an honor to know that I received the Mary Lammons Award because I remember Mary supporting me all the way with everything that I've done as far as the wellness program. Every time she comes to the ball field, she's playing softball, she says, "Go Nemo." That's how I remember her. She just had that smile on her face. But anyway, I'm really thankful that I was able to serve at the Mary Lammons Award, and I'll treasure with pride.
final news, our I Believe guy, it's been an evening of great people. Our I Believe guy, Brian Jackson, is Brian here? Has persevered. We ought to create an award just for him for perseverance. He persevered in his attempt to break the world record to get into the Guinness Book of Records. He's been trying for 7 years. Just a few weeks ago, he was proving that he has the strongest lungs in the world. Brian set a new world record of 51.98 seconds for blowing up and bursting a specially made hot water bottle. He uses that as a prop to convince kids to stay off of drugs, to make good decisions and improve their lives. And if you've seen him, he's just a delight to be around and one of the shining stars of the Cherokee Nation in the service of her people. So if you see him, commend him. He still has the stripes on his face with the thing blue on it. Cherokee Nation Environmental Air Program Quality Program Group monitors outdoor air quality for Cherokee communities and other tribal areas. Currently, they went through reorganization and received a letter of recommendation. The EPA wrote that Ryan Callison's technical knowledge and experience is highly regarded and valued by his colleagues in the field of environmental health. Lisa James was recognized recently as the Outstanding Nutrition Project Director of the Oklahoma Minority Task Force on Aging. She's the program manager for the Elder Services Program. Both the Wilma P. Mankiller and the Redbird Smith Health Center were selected to receive the COLA Laboratory Excellence Award. This award signifies the laboratory's commitment to performing quality testing and laboratory practices. This afternoon we had a beginning conference in tourism in Catoosa to help create a tourism industry and help it grow. The Sequoia newspaper won an award for a scholarly student newspaper, winning the Class 3A Overall Excellence Award at the Northeastern State University Media Day. We want to commend all of our Sequoia students for their hard work and all of their successes. And in closing, I want to show you something. It's really fun. We may have to ask Phyllis what this is. Have you seen it? Okay. How many of your children have ever played Uno? We've published Cherokee Uno. The colors and the words are all in Cherokee. So I'll pass those around, and we're developing a distribution plan pretty soon. So you'll find this delightful. Another effort to retain and grow our language. So thank you very much for that.
Good shot, fellas.
I was asked today that is it on out of the
The Trail of Tears movie by Steve Heap, and that group is out. I'm not sure where you purchased it. richheap.com. Gift shop, possibly.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Baker.
This time I'd like to amend the agenda to add a piece of an act that was sent to the council, but it missed the agenda. It's Legislative Act amending Title 21, Section 646 and Section 852.1 and adding a Section 645. It has to do with assault and battery and with dangerous weapon and punishment. And I move to amend the agenda to add that.
Motion's made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Any other amendments? Okay, this amendment will become number 17 on the agenda. Next, we have the action of unfinished business. Mr. Ms. O'Leary.
Yes. This is a legislative act that is vetoed, and I'd like to present that in the form of a motion to override the veto.
Motion made, seconded. A yea vote will be to override. A no vote will be to sustain the veto. A yea vote to override. A no vote to sustain the veto. Ms. Cowan.
Councilwoman O'Leary was telling me that did you want to, but I do want to speak.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Roll call vote, please.
I'd like to speak on it. Discussion.
Go ahead.
I just, because a lot of you weren't at our last meeting to understand what the debate was around this issue the last time. And I did vote against this originally, and I'm going to continue to vote against this because the legislation is ambiguous in the wording. When you look at it, it adds banishment from the tribe for council people or elected officials and potentially other folks if they commit crimes anywhere at any time. And I had a lot of questions around it and thought that it was too fuzzy, really, to be enacted into law. And I still think that, and there's been no amendments to correct those things. And we literally, last time it was passed out of full council to redefine the word banishment, which for me, I know what banishment means, but banishment doesn't mean banishment in terms of this legislation. It was very interesting. And if you want full copies of the legislation, any piece of legislation, you can request it in the Freedom of Information Act for the Cherokee Nation at Cherokee First, which is the library place right through the lobby. You go through, and I would encourage you, if you have questions, if we don't have enough public dialogue or debate on the issues, that you get the legislation for yourself and read it, because oftentimes there's a lot of detail that needs to be done, and it's your right to have that information. But I just can't support this because it doesn't say what it needs to say, and no effort was made to amend it to correct that, and I don't think it's good legislation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussion? Ms. O'Leary.
John, would you explain this legislation that I asked you to draft? And also I have a comment.
You have before you in your packets the veto message and my response there too, and you've had it for several weeks now, and would entertain any questions. I believe those documents do speak for themselves, and would open myself up to questions concerning either document. I would state that I do believe that the Act is constitutional as written. It provides for an additional penalty for any elected official, appointed official, or department head, and department head is defined, that is convicted of crimes against the public trust. Those crimes are already on the books of on our criminal code. It allows that the additional punishment of political banishment is discretionary upon the judge. The judge may or may not impose that. And there was lengthy debate on this matter in committee and at last full council, and in fact was measures were taken to satisfy anyone's concerns through amendment on the floor process. And as a matter of fact, someone could actually do those amendments today. But be that as it may, for the people at home, since there was a question about banishment, I would the Act defines political banishment as means being forever barred from holding any elective or appointed position and being ineligible for employment within the Cherokee Nation. It does not divest anyone of citizenship, and that was an amendment, I believe, that Ms. Connor brought forward. That,
Yes, I would like to read the change, and don't be misled by the councilwoman's words before, because this legislation is plain, it's direct, and it speaks for itself in Section 5. Reference to Section A, adding new section, and Section 10 is A, punishment of crimes concerning public officials, appointed officials, or department heads. That's who this covers. Any elected official, appointed official, or department head which is convicted of a crime concerning bribery, embezzlement, fraud, perjury, or forgery, or stealing, may, in addition to the punishments provided under Title 21 of this code, may be subject to the punishment of political banishment from the Cherokee Nation. All this is saying is that we have penalties in effect now that depending on our justice system, what they decide is a penalty of up to $5,000 fine and a year in incarceration. This is intended to be a deterrent if any of these things would happen, and it's spelled out who it's directed to and about. It's not any citizen out in our public. It is specifically directed, as I have just read to you. And as I have said, this is a deterrent for money-related crimes by elected tribal officials. And if this passes, the courts would have to arrive at what is the proper punishment to give. And every citizen, naturally, that's accused would have, or employee would have their right to the day in court. The fact remains, to not vote for this legislation is like saying you don't want stricter laws regarding illegal activities of elected officials and department heads dealing with Cherokee Nation's assets and monies. And I think that this is good legislation. I think it's legislation that needs to be enacted, and I cannot fathom why anybody would be against this legislation that protects our Cherokee Nation assets and our monies. Thank you.
Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to yield my time to Chief Smith on this.
Let me tell you why I vetoed it. Perhaps you can fathom. If a law is going to be effective, it needs to be fair and applicable. The idea of political banishment or prohibiting somebody from holding office, if I understand it correctly, is designed at elected officials. What you have in this particular law, very inartfully written, is that you put in that same class department heads. What is a department head? It's not defined in the legislation. It's not defined in our administration. You can say a department head is anybody from a group leader down to the guy who manages a golf course. If you're really talking about political banishment or prohibiting somebody from holding office and violating public trust, it needs to be rewritten. And when I visited with this body earlier, the concept is not one that I disagree with. It was very poorly written. It's not directed to the activities and the crimes that I think was intended. In fact, you could argue that the enumerated crimes are too narrow. Perhaps there needs to be additional crimes. I think one of our councilmen talked about child molestation. Perhaps illegal disclosure of confidential documents. The breadth of it, I would suggest, should be revisited. And who it applies to should be revisited. Prohibiting a golf course director from ever running for office because he had a check balance leads to the obscure, the absurd. So I'm very willing to work with the council, as I've expressed in the past, to come up with a law that focuses on misdeeds of public officials and prohibits them from holding office in the future.
Any other questions? Ms. O'Leary.
You know, we batted this around about somebody writing a bad check. It doesn't have anything to do about citizen writing a bad check. It has to do with department heads. It has to do with public office officials, appointed officials. And political banishment means forever being barred from holding any elected or appointed position and being ineligible for employment within the Cherokee Nation. That means that if the judicial court has found that person to be guilty of that crime, that's what it's saying. We're just putting some up into our own protection of our people's monies. That's all we're doing with this. It, you know, we can rewrite it, we can say whatever we want to, but the meaning is clear, and in Article 4 of the definitions, it spells out what Cherokee Nation is. It spells out in Section B what public office is, and what an appointed official is, and what a department head is, and what political banishment means. This is not a loosely written piece of legislation. This is intended to be a deterrent to people that are subject or have the intention of defrauding, stealing. It's very plain. And it is meant to be a deterrent, to, like I said, to protect the assets and the monies of our Cherokee people. That's what this is. I expect to address Tom.
Just wanted to clarify a point that the chief touched on. He said that department head was not defined in the Act. Well, the department head is defined in the Act, and I think it's defined broadly enough to allow a judge to interpret what a department head is. And for everyone's edification, let me read it. It says, department head means any person at the Cherokee Nation who is the leader or top authority in the various departments or groups in existence within the administration of the Cherokee Nation. Now, the reason it is, written that way is that you're looking at the leader or the top authority. And I think those have very common sense meanings that a judge could determine whether this act would apply to. Further, you want to define it broadly, as I said in my veto myth, because different administrations may call different titles or different positions different titles. For an example, through the Mankiller administration, through the Byrd administration, we had executive directors. They were the top authority in the various groups of the Cherokee Nation. Now they're called group leaders. Maybe the next chief will call them something else. So you don't want to narrow yourself to a definition that, well, if it only applies to executive directors and that position doesn't exist anymore, well, those people don't apply to it. Top authority and leader of various groups, I think, is a sufficient definition that would get across the intent of the legislation. And those people are included at Ms. O'Leary's request because a group leader or executive director could cause great havoc in the Cherokee Nation with writing a bad check. Now, writing a bad check may be something if it's only $12.50, but if an executive director causes $12 million in a bad check, knowing that bad check knowing that check is going to be bad, well, yeah, they are to suffer more penalty than just 1 year in jail and a $5,000 fine. These are crimes that are already on the code with the Cherokee Nation. It is up to, number one, a jury to convict them. And if they are convicted by that jury, then it is up to the judge to impose that additional punishment. And that's what the purpose of the legislation is.
Mr. Garland.
Yes, honestly, I have a question for you. I know this is talking about money, but was there a particular reason why you didn't get into privileged information, people giving out privileged information?
No. I was writing it as the sponsor of the legislation wanted it to be written. However, through the committee process and through the council process, this could have been amended by anyone from the administration could have suggested that. Anyone from this council could have suggested an amendment. As a matter of fact, on the day that this was passed at full committee, there were substantial amendments made from the board.
We're going to have to oppose this because of that reason. I think it's too narrow. It needs to be broadened, and I know we'd like to put them in jail and throw the key away, but I think until we do that, I'm going to have to vote no on this override.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Todd, I would like to see this legislation or some form of it go forward. I feel strongly in holding people accountable to this extent. I guess I would like to ask the sponsor and you what the process would be. Could we take it back to committee at this point and make some of these amendments and work with the administration and come up with something that everyone can be happy with? You know, I asked for the change during the last meeting to say political banishment rather than totally banished from the tribe, which is how it came out of committee. And so I would just like to see where we would stand on that. Because you know, I would support such legislation as long as it's beneficial or does fully what we're looking for it to do. Would that be a possibility, and could we do that?
The way the legislative process would work is either two things at this point. Number one is to vote to override the veto, becomes law, and if, and I believe the chief, he believes that the concept is good, we could work amendments coming up at the next rules of meeting and make those amendments and satisfy everyone's concerns. The second course of action would vote not to override the veto, in which case this act would die, and in order to bring it back in an appropriate fashion, it would have to be substantially changed due to it being a reconsideration type measure. So those, as I would see it, would be the two options.
Okay, thank you.
Your initial discussion, it dawned on me that something in addition. I'm not a lawyer, counsel, but I understood our limitations on punishment was limited by our Constitution to the Indian Civil Rights Act that's included, and it's not something we can change in legislation. It would have to be changed at a constitutional level. And this just dawned on me in your discussion, you refer to it as legislative, but it's actually a constitutional issue through the Indian Civil Rights Act, referred to in our Constitution, correct?
No, I would disagree with that. I mean, what the Indian Civil Rights Act or what the Indian country's limitations are as to incarceration, we can't put anyone in jail more than a year, and we can't fine them more than $5,000. I don't believe that there's any constitutional infirmity into adding an additional punishment of banishment. There are a number of, in this case, political banishment, which is not affecting the citizens' rights. This is there are a number of Indian tribes throughout the United States. One here in California that has the punishment of banishment, and that is not considered. I don't believe it's considered a violation of the Indian Civil Rights or Act of our Constitution. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
You, Cherokee.
Thank you. Todd, I have a question. I guess maybe for all of us to consider, what qualifies as substantial change? If this has to be changed, what would make it substantial? How many words do we have to change to make it a substantial change? Because I agree with Councilor Connor that, I feel that every employee, every council person should be accountable for the job that they do when they're handling the people's money, whether they're Cherokee or non-Cherokee citizens. I feel that they need to be responsible and mindful, make sure that they're spending the money correctly. And so I would like to see something greater than reassignment, termination, in place.
Well, to answer your question, what is substantial change? It's kind of like beauty. You'll know it when you see it. I mean, I really couldn't tell you, what would, amount to a substantial change in this that would allow it to go forward until we start putting pieces of paper.
That was my question.
Okay. Mr. Thornton, do you have a question?
Yeah, I noticed that Chief Smith raised his hand to speak, and I'd be like to check it off here. I'd like to give my time up to the Chief to talk.
Thank you, kind gentleman, for supporting county. The deterrence of this, it has some deterrence, but actually for elected officials, the greatest deterrence is in the council's hands now. the constitutional power of impeachment. If somebody's convicted of a crime, me, you, other folks, that's one of the grounds for impeachment, is violation of the sacred trust and trust exists. So there is deterrence. I think the general idea is a good one. I think it does need some debate because I'm not sure if employees are really part of that class of prohibiting future office holders. So I would like to have the opportunity to discuss it a little bit more depth with the council, and I think we could come up with a very good product that we'll all be happy with. Ms. Campbell.
I'd like to make a motion to move this back to Rules Committee.
I've asked for a motion on the floor. I've got a second. I want to vote on it. I want to vote on the veto.
I'll happily withdraw my motion.
Call for a question, Mr. President.
Call for the question. A yea vote is to override the veto. A no vote is to sustain the veto. Roll call vote, please.
Bill England,
No.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Audra Connor,
Yes.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Mary Fraley,
No.
Don Garvin,
No.
Charles Hoskin,
Yes.
William Johnson,
No.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jacob Bob Martin,
No.
Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Melvina Shophouse,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Kara Talon Watts,
No.
Phyllis Yargy,
Yes.
It takes a 2/3 vote to override. And the vote was 9-6.
9-2.
So the vote is sustained. And now we move on to committee reports. First report is the Housing Authority. Mr. David Sutherland.
Good, John, doing that new math, did he? It's old. A quick story back in I graduated from high school in '77. Went to a couple years of college and then quit and raised some kids and then went back in '88. First semester I go to a statistics class and he's talking about the calculator he needed and he says the one that will do the new math. I didn't know it changed, but I found one that was calculating. Have a brief report. Our May board meeting will be tomorrow evening at 5:30 in the Allen Hogner Conference Room. We have a real brief agenda tomorrow evening. The only item on the agenda is an informational session on the low-income housing tax credit program. At last month's board meeting, the board appropriated funding for an office complex in Salisaw. They have begun the site work down there. They also, last month, the board did approve an increase to the mutual health administrative fee. That increase will go from $60 to $75, and it will take effect on October 1st. The board also increased the percentage of income a family will pay for rent in our low-income apartment program. The current rate for Native Americans is 15% of their adjusted gross income. That change will go to 20% on July the 1st, and then on January 1st to 25%, and to July the 1st, 2007 to 30%. A few years ago, year 2000, we were at 30%. For different reasons, we reduced it, but we really need to go back up. I want to give you an example on how we adjust rents for a utility allowance. If someone's income is $500 a month, 20%, which is what it's going to, of that would be $100. We adjust that down by $79 in the form of a utility allowance. So the rent will actually be $21 or 4.2% of their income. And that's probably more numbers than y'all really wanted to deal with, but to carry that a little farther, at their current rate of 15%, they'd actually pay zero. $500, 15% of that is $75. We'd take off $79, so that's a negative figure, so they wouldn't pay anything. That's enough math for the signal. Anyway, the Southern Plains Indian Housing Association spring meeting is Wednesday and Thursday at the Cherokee Casino in Catoosa. Deputy Chief Grayson is giving the welcome. I'd like to thank you for doing that for us. We also have entertainment by one of the emerging class ladies, Miss Shelby Turtle, the Little Miss Cherokee. That's my report.
You know, David, I've got numerous phone calls from the low rent, and these people are scared. Just absolutely scared. Most of them are disabled. Almost all of them are elderly. And their letter really, and I've told several of them, let me see what we're really talking about, because they're sitting there saying, 30%, and I can't hardly pay it now, and I realize it doesn't seem like much, but we were promised when we moved in here that maximum rent would never be over $200. Is that still true?
Yes, there's maximum rents on each bedroom size.
Okay.
I think the one bedrooms are like $200, and maybe two bedrooms $250, or $300 is the most anybody does.
And then I read their deal, and I didn't know what adjusted gross meant. Or at least, and I assume that means you take the utilities right off the...
Well, they take, what they do is take their monthly income, and then there's some deductions, and these is prescribed method by the government. We use the Section 8 definition, and we figure it that way, and if they have children, there's a deduction for that, and so on and so forth. I've had a few calls and actually met with some folks about it, and after I go through there and explain, that they're really not paying 20%. It's generally, they're always going to pay less than 10, around 10, even when it gets to 30%. They kind of understand. I mean, they're not real happy about it.
Well, yeah, and I understand not being happy, but at the same time, I don't want to be putting some of our folks out in the streets either.
Well, we're real good about working with you. Always have.
But I really think we need to maybe get some of that new math and maybe take the time to physically do a worksheet to send out to them and let them know what it really means. Because I've got some people that, they might only be paying $100 and it's at like 10%. And they thought, oh, I'm going to be paying $300.
Yeah.
If right now I'm at 10 and I'm going to go to 30, then I'm going to be paying $300, and they were promised when they moved in that it wouldn't be over $200.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because we have to give them 30-day notice, and I think in Cherokee County they've given everyone notice. So if they have questions, feel free to refer them to me, because I'll be happy to sit down with them.
I'll give me your cell phone.
Well, you give everybody my cell phone number, I know. Yeah.
Mr. Martin, did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. David, could you give us that schedule that you read off in writing in a next meeting or two?
I sure can.
Thank you.
David, I have the same concerns that Mr. Baker has about I've had several calls, and people are very alarmed because they really do think that they're going to be homeless. And matter of fact, some of them are employees.
Are they in apartments or in the utility home?
In the rentals.
Feel free to have them give me a call, and I'll be happy to sit down with anyone and go through their schedule there. And it just takes a minute to look up the schedule and what they'll be paying.
Any other questions? No.
Thank you, Mr. President. David, how's the housing market coming along? Can you kind of fill us in on people buying houses and housing costs? Kind of tell us what's going on.
The mortgage assistance program, I believe, I give the board a report each month, and I
believe we've done 69 since October 1st, mortgage assistance program. We've had a lot of success up in the Claremore office. I don't remember the other offices right off the top of my head, but I do know we've done 69. Our construction crews are finishing up the last of the 04 new homes. They're also finishing up some HIP, some that were funded, replacement homes funded by HIP. The Title VI, those homes are, the last two are ready for closing. These last ones were the ones we allowed the families to get their own construction loan and find their own contractor and do the whole deal, and it's taken a little longer than what it normally would take us to do. But the last two Title VI, we are working with the Chief's office to put together a new Title VI program and incorporate that with mortgage assistance.
For mortgage assistance, is there a long line waiting, or you take care of everybody?
I wouldn't call it a long line, but we've got several in processing. We're able to, as soon as they come in the door, we're able to serve them payment language. And if we get the Title VI worked out like I'd like to see it worked out, we'll have more control over overloading them. Fees, interest rate, have control over that. Plus we have control over the underwriting, so we can be a little more lenient if we need to. Just a pretty good deal.
I think it's an excellent program, and it gets people in there for almost nothing. The closing costs and
right.
The down payment and so forth.
Yeah.
Did they get a low interest loan with that?
Well, the current Title VI, we did a 4% loan. There's a lot of subsidy that we had to pay with that because money's costing more. So what we'd like to do is to actually charge them the rate of interest we're having to pay and cut down on the subsidy. But if we can couple that with mortgage assistance and buy down that principal somewhat, then I think it'll work out where people can afford those loans.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other questions? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Next report is Cherokee Nation Enterprises. Mr. David Stewart.
Good evening. Well, I'm pleased to report that in the 15-year history of C&E that we've had our record month in March of this year, with dividends during the month in excess of $2.5 million. In addition to that, our sales tax collections have approximated $75,000 to the tribe. So we've heard a lot of tribute to employees, and I would like to pay a tribute to our over 2,800 employees for their hard work and all of the things that they have achieved over the last several years. We've also made some donations of some of our surplus equipment to some of the Cherokee community organizations. Our expansion projects are going well. The Salisaw Casino will open in late June. We held a public meeting with some of the city officials over the past couple of weeks to talk about how we could be better community partners, and I think that went very well. The Tahlequah Casino is on schedule for Labor Day, so we hope to achieve that. We still have some work to do, but it's coming right along. We purchased the former Days Inn in Roland and have rebranded our small motels to Cherokee Casino Inn. So we've changed the name to the one purchased next to Catoosa and also Roland. So we're getting those up and running. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Mr. Hoskins.
Yes. Last month I asked a question relating to cost of living increases for employees at C&E, and then again at the committee meeting, our last committee meeting. And Mr. Stewart was kind enough to call me this just, I believe it was maybe Friday, and give me some information on that. And I appreciate if you could repeat shortly what you told me about the possibility of cost of living or how we address that. Please.
Okay. The way we address increases in salary is we give a merit raise. And a merit raise is intended to cover all of those increases, whether it be cost of living or merit. In addition to that, what we do is we do an annual look at pay ranges. Very similar to the government, we have like a G17 pays this range, or a G18 or so on. We have those same kind of ranges so that every year we go through that, and if there is someone that's below the minimum of that range, we automatically take them up to that. 98% of our employees had a salary increase in excess of 2%, and the average was 4%. So I would say to you, Mr. Hoskins, that we don't actually have a cost of living increase, but we do include it in our merit increase, and I think if you look at our overall pay scale, it is included indirectly.
And we also talked about that the number of questions that's been asked of me by our employees, there obviously is a misunderstanding, and you said that you will work to correct that by getting this information out. So.
Yes, well, we have a couple of ways, and I've already talked to management about that. We're going to talk about it in some of our pre-shift meetings. We will put it on our website, so we will work to communicate that to our employees.
Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Cherokee Nation Industries. And taking Majewski's place tonight is Brian Collins.
Good evening, Principal Chief Smith and Deputy Chief Grayson, council members. I will be reporting. I will be reporting on C&I's operation because Mr. Majewski's out due to an illness of an immediate family member. Sales for the month of April were $8.4 million, which is about the same as April 2005. Profitability was about $400,000. Sales year to date, or at the end of the 10 months, are $79.8 million, which is 16% greater than the same time frame last year. Profitability continues to be sluggish and is 51% behind budget. C&I's next board meeting is scheduled for May 30th, 3 p.m. in Catoosa at the CMB conference room. This completes my report. I would like to remind you, though, that Thursday we are having a luncheon. You should have received an invitation. C&I has received their AS 9100 certification, which is the highest level of certification in the aerospace industry. And the employees, we're having a celebration luncheon, and would welcome you and the chief and deputy chief to come see all the accomplishments we've made in a short period of time. Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
Congratulations. That's quite an achievement to get that award that you received from the aerospace industry.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Brian. Next, we have Cherokee Nation Businesses, Ms. Callie Ketchum.
Good evening. I got a brief report for you this evening. Cherokee CRC is performing work on 4 task orders that they had received on a contract with the Tulsa Corps of Engineers. Altogether, as of the end of April, they have $1.5 million in orders on that contract. Cherokee Connects has been working with a lot of the different rural communities, smaller towns, to bring broadband into those areas. We had a board meeting today, and it's anticipated that the first community will be online within 90 days. Mr. Hoskin had asked me previously whether Nowata was one of the cities we were visiting with, and I did confirm today that there was an initial meeting with Nowata. The way this program is working, the individual towns and the smaller cities are basically helping fund the infrastructure to bring broadband to those smaller areas. So I think it's a good model, and the test case will be up and running very soon. Our next board meeting will be in June. We do not have the confirmed date yet, but I will give you an update on that and make sure that all of you are aware of when our board meeting is. That's my report. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions? Mr. Hoskins?
I appreciate that contact with no one, and also I've been contacted by individuals from Welch, Oklahoma. I don't know how the word's spreading, but also Cherokee NX helicopter crashed in Oklahoma when they were looking for a tower site, but no one was injured. So
That's correct.
But unfortunately, we had some city officials on the helicopter too, which is not a good thing when you're trying to get business. But anyway, no one was injured. I appreciate it.
And just for the record, that was the personal helicopter of our partner, Mr. Gates, and no one was injured.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you, Kelly. Sir.
I don't have any questions. I would like to add something to the monthly reports agenda. I don't know what we need to vote on. I don't think we need to vote on this, but I think over in the Cherokee Nation Housing Authority, there's a report in here for this body. And the questions I would like to ask about the Housing Authority, Mr. Sutherland don't cover those areas. And there's additional funding being given to the Cherokee Nation Housing Authority. And at the time, they have more funding than the Housing Authority. That David Sutherland is the director. So I'd like to add to the agenda and have the director of the Cherokee Nation Housing Authority or whoever is over that come to this meeting. So we may get a report from them on what they're doing.
Did David leave?
I talked to him, he said he did.
I'm sorry to address the council person from down south, but I have a question. Is it not appropriate to just continue to have it in resources, because we do have that report in resources, correct? Or from community services, I'm sorry, from community services in that committee meeting, and maybe we discuss out in that committee, because I think there's a bigger discussion in that committee meeting, pushing it to full tribal council.
Well, you still don't have anyone to answer here for the Cherokee Nation Housing Authority.
That's what I'm asking, is that we discuss that in that committee meeting and have that motion and have that added to the agenda later. If that's what.
That'd be fine.
That would be my recommendation.
We'll bring it before
we'll
make sure.
Community services. Okay. Point is taken. Now we move on to old business, and there being none pending, we move to new business. Item number 1 is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to U.S. Department of Agriculture. Ms. Shottown.
A resolution authorizing submission of grant application to U.S. Department of Agriculture for a housing preservation grant, and it has a matching fund of $50,310 will be from the Housing Improvement Program Fund. So I'll put that for a motion.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 2 is a resolution authorizing submission of a proposal to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Ms. Shothouse.
This is also a resolution authorizing submission proposal to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Indian Community Development Block Grant Program for PACE facilities. And I'll put that in form of motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 3 is a legislative act amending Legislative Act 30-05, authorizing comprehensive budget for fiscal year 2006. And that will be Ms. O'Leary.
Yes, thank you. The purpose of this is to increase the total budget authority of $360 million plus And we've had this discussion, there's no problem with this. I put it forth with a motion to pass.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bill John Baker.
Aye.
Audrey Carter. Yes. Joe Crippen.
Yes.
Mary Traylor.
Yes.
Don Garza.
Yes.
Charles Hoskins.
Yes.
William Johnson.
Yes.
John Keel.
Yes.
James Bob Martin.
Yes.
Leo Leary.
Yes.
Lawanda Shoptown.
Yes.
David Thornton.
Yes.
Carol Rock.
Yes.
Bill Georgie.
Yes.
Neil England.
Yes.
The vote was unanimous. The act passed. Item number 4 is a resolution amending Resolution 99-05. Ms. O'Leary.
Principal amount not to exceed $30 million in the issuance of the Cherokee Nation Revenue Bond regarding healthcare projects, and these bonds refer to the facilities at Salisaw, Nowata, and the Skokie projects. I put that forth in the form of a motion.
Motion made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 5 is a resolution amending Resolution 100-05. Ms. O'Leary.
Yes. This is authorizing the incurrence of indebtedness in the principal amount not to exceed $30 million in the issuance of the Cherokee Promissory Note, Series 2005. And this is also for the healthcare projects, which includes Salisaw, Nowata, and the Skokie projects. I put that forth with a motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 6 is a resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust, the Cherokee End Express. Councilman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. The original resolution that was passed out of committee several weeks ago, we've learned that there was some problems with the description of the properties, and also needed to change the name of the property from the original resolution. So this afternoon in the Resource Committee meeting, we took up this issue. So the motion is the amendment of the resolution that's in the book to vote on the resolution that was passed out. Now, if there's any question, Ms. Donaldson is in the audience here. She can explain to it. That's the motion.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay. Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing the approval of a right-of-way over the Arkansas Riverbed for the I-40 bridge. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is a right-of-way easement. It's been prepared in favor of the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, approximately 14.35 acres of Arkansas Riverbed property. More fully described as a description here. And the easement is for a term of 25 years. And I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 8 is a resolution authorizing the approval of a right-of-way over the Arkansas Riverbed for Highway 82 bridge, or 62 bridge, I'm sorry. Mr. Martin.
Thank you. This a move for approval, and this is basically the same type of resolution as the one previous, except in a different location. And I move for approval.
Motion's made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Resolution number 9 is a resolution authorizing the approval of right-of-way over the Arkansas River bed for the Ray Fine Bridge on Highway 100. Mr. Martin.
Mr. Chairman, basically the same resolution, a different place. Move for approval.
Motion made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 10 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation cancer programs and environmental programs to submit an application. Councilman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. The goal of the Cherokee Nation Care Grant includes empowering communities to develop a broad understanding of environmental pollution and the relationship to cancer and develop sustainable community-based partnerships that will effectively work to improve the local environment. This grant amount is $100,000 and no match required, and move for approval.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation environmental programs to submit an application. Councilman Martin.
The principal focus of the Indian General Assistance Program Training Grant is continued development of tribal environmental technical capacity. This grant will conduct 4 to 6 environmental training for tribal environmental staff with EPA rate Region 6, and the grant amount is $58,261, no match required, and I move for approval.
Motion is made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation environmental programs to submit an application. Councilman Martin.
Thank you. This grant amount is $288,562, and there's no match required, to move for approval.
Motion is made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 13 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation environmental programs to submit an application. Councilman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is been an ongoing issue in Adair County. Mr. Critton and I have been involved in some meetings there, and I am proud to present this resolution. But what it is, this high-impact project fits within the Cherokee Nation Sustainable Economic Growth Strategy. The Cherokee Nation owns a tract of trust land east of Stillwell, Oklahoma, where it plans to have an industrial park. New industries cannot be recruited until adequate wastewater treatment is available. Currently, there is only a lagoon that cannot handle additional industrial waste. This project will build collection line, lift station, infrastructure necessary to work either with connection of City of Stillwell treatment plant or to another treatment facility. This grant amount is $400,000 and no match required, to move for approval.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 14 is a resolution stating the Cherokee Nation opposition to State Question 726. Councilwoman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the opportunity to attend a state budget conference from a nonprofit group, an alliance group that did independent analysis of Oklahoma State's budget, and then took what was known about Colorado, who's the only state who's ever passed the Tabor laws, which restrict government spending at a constitutional level, which disallows your elected officials to respond to the needs of the time, either the month, the year, the week, or whatever it is. It would require then a repeal, which the voters in the state of Colorado did do when they, so the only state that has enacted Tabor has also repealed it. For me, this is a nonpartisan issue, and the only reason I asked to bring this forward, that the Cherokee Nation get involved, is I believe that there's two big things to my job as an elected official for this tribe. Number one is to provide infrastructure within our jurisdiction. We've seen great leaps and bounds in the last years in how we can support and enhance additional infrastructure through roads, through the fire departments, through the police departments, and the things that government should provide. The physical safety infrastructure that allows for transportation and emergency response and those kind of things. And the second thing is we provide for those who can't help themselves in need. Those who either by chance have a once in a lifetime incident where they have they're trapped in a cycle of poverty, and it's our job to assist those folks and lift them up economically. And after visiting at this conference and attending a whole day in Norman, I found that Tabor rips those two things up. It takes my job in the Cherokee Nation and would devastate the things that we've done from a physical infrastructure in the roads and the school systems. We've brought additional monies into our jurisdiction. It would take the base money from the state of Oklahoma and rip that out from underneath us. And it would probably devastate the programs that we've fought hard at the tribe, at the community level, to bring in. And at the same time, it would definitely limit spending in social programs that not only our tribal citizens rely on, but the people within our jurisdiction that also benefit from the partnerships. So, with that said, I felt strongly about bringing this forward that the Cherokee Nation needed to take a stand and publicly oppose Tabor in the state of Colorado. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion?
Is that a motion?
I'd like to make the motion to approve.
Seconded? Mr. Darby?
Yes. As probably most of you know, Colorado got in deep trouble trying to sponsor this Tabor law, and I think Oklahoma's kind of getting in deep trouble too. There's a group right now passing petitions to get this on the vote of people, and I strongly oppose this. And if you see those people passing those petitions around, don't sign them. Call Tabor. I don't know what TABOR stands for. Maybe. But anyway, I'm going to vote for this issue. I think it's going to do us some good.
Call for the question.
Call for the question. Mr. Baker?
Yes, and I absolutely agree. Colorado was like 26th in the nation in spending on their students and education, and they dropped to 48th in the nation. Oklahoma is not near as good as far as we're like 45th now. And so we wouldn't have as far to fall, but folks, we can't afford it. And we've got to educate our kids. We've got to keep our institutions. We've got to keep Northeastern healthy and strong and viable. And I mean, the salvation of Cherokee Nation is educating our youth. And that's the first thing to fall under Tabor is funding for public education and higher education. So I would encourage everybody to talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, and tell them Tabor is not for Oklahoma. Thank you.
You got a discussion?
Yes, for matter of clarification, I don't believe Colorado has repealed this law. They have suspended it for a correct period of time. I believe the time is 5 years. And it is a situation in which state legislators are tied to their constitutional demanded budget and cannot exceed that at any point in time. And it does affect public schools immediately. But this is one of those issues, and the petitions they're talking about being passed around, it's one of those things that sounds real good to restrict the government from spending too much money. That's how it's portrayed. I compare it to something like right to work, and that sounds fantastic. But you want to be very careful about when you see these petitions to understand exactly what it is. This question will be on the ballot. That's not an issue. It'll be on the ballot. They will get enough signatures to have it on there. But I just hope enough people read it thoroughly and understand exactly what this proposal does. And so I consider it extremely important in the future of our children, in addition to the future of our state. So thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Motion carried. Item 15 is a resolution confirming the nomination of Sharon Swepston as governing board member of the Economic Development Trust Authority Board. Ms. Fraley.
Yes, this resolution confirms the nomination of Sharon Swepston to serve on the governing board of the Comprehensive Care Agency for a term of 2 years, and I would move for approval.
Motion is made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Motion carried. Item 16 is a resolution confirming the renomination of Johnny Erb. Ms. Fraley.
Yes, this resolution confirms the renomination of Johnny Erb to serve as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Economic Development Trust Authority for a term of 3 years, and I would move for approval. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Motion carried. Item number 17, a legislative act amending Title 21, Section 646 and Section 852-1. Ms. Cowan, are you sponsoring that?
Actually, it's Ms. Fraley, I believe.
Ms. Fraley, are you sponsoring?
It has your name on it.
It was supposed to be you.
Oh. Okay, let me see here. The purpose of this act is to update the Cherokee Nation Criminal Code and enhance certain penalties for criminal acts in order to protect the peace and the dignity of the Cherokee Nation citizens. And it's adding some new wording, for instance, assault battery or for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, what the punishment is for that. Child endangerment, what is child endangerment, and it creates penalties for that, and I would move for approval.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Oh, I'm sorry. This is an act.
By acclamation.
By acclamation? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Act carried. The next council meeting is June the 12th at 6 o'clock. Are there any other announcements? Ms. Allen.
Thank you, President. He was sitting here. We had our Cherokee, who's a Rogers County Commissioner. Mike Helm was sitting next to my Youth Tribal Council representative, Danielle Culp, and her father, Terry, who's escorting him this evening. Thank you for attending.
Mr. Garvin.
I'd like to introduce my two good friends from Porum. Drove a long ways. Ladies, support you have that. Welcome.
Mr.
I'd like to introduce all of those people back there. Hold your hand up, all of you. Council, go back there somewhere.
Ms. Garvey.
I just want to introduce all of the youth council members. They are from the various 14 counties and the 9 districts, and they're sponsoring the group. If y'all would all stand up, please, and let everyone see you.
Ms. Fraley.
I just want to thank the Youth Council for participating in the Locust Rose Founder Day Parade Saturday. Appreciate your coming.
I would like to thank my daughter, Mary Charlotte, and her fiance, Gary Crawford, for coming tonight. And my son, Stuart, and his wife, Shayla, and my wife, Gwen. Are there any other kin folks out there? I'll give a second. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried.